back to another video. If you guys are new here, thank you for clicking on the video. My name is Adam and welcome to Accelerated Motion. In today's video, we are working on Kevin's E92 M3. If you guys are new here, we are taking this 2010 Le Mans Blue Coupe and turning this into a budget track car. We've already done a couple things on this car. We removed the carbon fiber front lip, the carbon rear diffuser, and the carbon side skirt extensions. In addition to that, we did a DIY install series on Mach Schnell underdrive pulleys, as well as a Mach Schnell intake system, so definitely go check out those videos. In today's video, we're installing brand new StopTech Sport brake pads on the front of the car. We also have some brand new OEM wear sensors to install as well, so let's get to it. As always, the first thing we need to do is break these lug nuts loose with a 17 mil and then jack the car up. So we've got the wheel off. Don't mind the rusty rotor. The car has kind of been sitting outside, not moving, and it's been raining, so that's why they're a little bit rusty looking, but that will all go away when we get new fresh pads on there and you know, step on the brakes. This will all kind of disappear. But anyway, I just want to show you guys the existing pads that are on here. They're pretty worn, as you can tell, pretty low, so definitely in need of new pads. And so we actually did the StopTech Sport pads on the rear already in a separate video. So the rear's already been done. We also replaced the wear sensor back there, but the fronts, I just want to point out that the front pads, there are wear sensors on both the driver's side and the passenger side, whereas the rear only has the one on the one side. So just keep that in mind when you're ordering replacement parts, but that's what that looks like. Let's get this going. Okay, so the next step here is to remove this anti-rattle clip. And you're just gonna take a microfiber towel just so you don't scratch up the brake caliper, and then wedge your biggest screwdriver that you've got in here and kind of pry it off just like that. So I kind of propped my screwdriver behind this piece here and kind of wedged it out, and it pops out. For the next step, on the back side of the caliper, there are two caliper pin dust covers that we need to remove. One on top and one on bottom, so get yourself a flathead screwdriver, kind of wedge it right in between here, just like that, to pop off this dust cover. So the new kit has replacements for these, and again, one on top, one on bottom. Next, once you get those dust covers removed, you can take a 7mm Allen wrench and then remove the actual pin. So as I do this, you can actually see the pin that's coming out of the caliper. See it moving right there. So you just gotta take it. It might take a little bit of while, take a little bit of time, but just keep going at it little by little. There we go, you see the pin coming through. And this is what it should look like when it comes out. Again, this is a 7mm, there's one on the top and one on the bottom. All right, here's kind of a view of the bottom one. Already broke it loose. There we go. One thing to note with these caliper pins, you'll see that one of them is actually longer than the other, so the longer one is actually going to be on the bottom, so keep that in mind. Okay, now that we've got those pins out, now it's time to go ahead and remove this wear sensor. So these are pretty brittle. They're pretty much gonna break every single time you do this, and that's why it's important to buy replacement ones off the bat. That way you don't have to come back later on and replace these. But I've got some replacement parts. I will put part numbers below. There's two different sensors, one for the driver's side, one for the passenger side, and then there's also one for the rear. So I will put links in the description below for those if you want to purchase those. But basically I'm gonna go ahead and take a microfiber towel just so we don't scratch the caliper up too much. And I'm gonna kind of wedge this in here and prop this guy out. And again, this is pretty much gonna break on us, so just keep that in mind. Yep, broke off just like that. So we'll get to that once we get the rest of the caliper off. So at this point, we just need to kind of pry off the caliper. It's just kind of compression sitting in there right now. So again, we're gonna take another microfiber towel here and kind of wedge it in between here and kind of pry it apart. We're kind of wedging it this way, so we're bringing the caliper this way, away from the caliper bracket, both top and bottom. Basically need to clear past here and here. So, there we go. Almost there. All right, at this point, you've got your brake line still attached, so you just kind of want to move this out of the way, make sure you don't put too much stress on the brake lines. But there you can see the pads, so we can go ahead and pull those out as well. The back side is just compression clipped in there, and the one in the front just kind of sits there as well. So here are the old pads. You can tell they're extremely worn down. I mean, you can just tell by the thickness. So let's take this rear pad, and here's the new rear pad. I mean, just look at how much wear there was. And again, since we broke off the sensor, here's the other end of the wear sensor. We didn't have any lights on the dash for this yet, but judging by the looks of it, it needed to be done. So that's what that rear pad looks like. And then here's the front pad versus the new front pad. You can tell quite a difference there in thickness. So definitely need to be done. And again, you can see the wear indicators on the new one through the slit there, and we're already past that. So definitely good for us to be changing these out. So the next step here is going to be to compress the caliper back into place. You can go to AutoZone and rent a tool. It's probably, I think it's like a $50 deposit, but you get your money back if you return it. And so you can do that, or there's a couple different things you can do. So since I don't have that AutoZone tool, I'm actually just using a C-clamp, which I have at home, and I'm just kind of tightening it all back into place and pushing the caliper piston back in. So that's as far as it will go. Super easy to do. So if you've got a C-clamp or something of that nature, that'll work. So now we can go ahead and put these new pads back in. Again, make sure you've got this one. So what it should look like for the rear pad. Snap into place. And then the front pad, go in just like that. And there's these clips here that help hold it in place. So it should snap in just like that. And now we're back in business. Go ahead and reinstall. Just push it back on. Make sure that the actual caliper or the pad is hanging on the caliper bracket, the pad bracket back right there. And now we can go ahead and remove this sensor. So for the wear sensor, you'll see this green wire here, and it's kind of dangling like that. This is the one that broke off. So what you need to do to remove this is kind of pull this little cover off. That'll free this up. If you follow the line, pull it off of the bracket. Just like that. Continue following the line. You'll see that it goes into this box. My flashlight's in the way right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the cover off of this box, and then we can unplug it. So here's the little box. There's a couple tabs on the bottom. Pry it up just like that, and it'll open up, and you'll see, again, follow your line, pull it off of the brackets, and then you'll see it's this white one here. So just kind of pull it out, and then grab it from this side here. It's a clip, squeeze it, pull it apart, and remove the old damaged sensor. Here are the new replacement sensors, one for each side. As you can see, one wire is green and one wire is white. And so we just took off the green one. That is going to be for the driver's side. I'll put a link in the description below for this. So this should be a complete plug and play. We're gonna start up here. We're gonna plug this back in. It only goes in one direction. So you gotta kind of look inside of here and match up how this should go. Plug it in until it clips. So once you've got that in place, you can go ahead and reinstall. Tuck it back in just like that. And then go ahead and clip that closed. Put these back onto your brackets. Make sure you go around the suspension components. Clip it back into place. Same thing down here. And then we can go ahead and plug this back into the caliper. So before installing the new sensor, go ahead and make sure to put your caliper pins back into place and go ahead and tighten it down. So that'll be the last step, is the wear sensor. And again, you got the smaller pin, the shorter pin on top. All right, after you've got your caliper pins back into place, go ahead and put your new dust caps back on. They were just compression fitted again. One on top and one on the bottom. Now we can finally go ahead and attach the wear sensor.
All right, so hopefully you guys can see this, but the wear sensor is gonna go right back into this hole. So you're just gonna be real careful. It only goes in the one direction and it just slides into place. Just like that.
Okay, so we've got the caliper back into place. All the caliper pins are in place. I've got the wear sensor back in. Got everything all connected. Make sure you secure your line. Make sure they're all back into its original spots. And that should be that. All right, one last thing. Don't forget to put your rattle clip back on. This pretty much just compression fits back on and keeps everything from rattling. So it'll just sit just like that. Pop that in place and you're good to go. That just about wraps up the driver's side. Everything's all buttoned up. I just need to toss the wheel back on. I'm gonna go ahead and do the passenger side off camera, but the process is exactly the same, just flip-flopped. The only other thing I wanna note is before you start driving the car, you should hit the brake, depress the brake, and do that a couple times until you start to get some feeling back. If you guys have any comments or questions, please let me know below. We are also open to new ideas for this track build, so if there's something specific that you guys think we should do, please let us know. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.